Hey, welcome back to the BVB podcast. My name's Jacob, joined as always by Carver. How's it going, man? How you doing?
I'm doing all right. I had a much needed break from the team and just life in general. Got to ski for only the second time in my life. Didn't die, didn't have any major injuries,
He's still here.
and saw two back-to-back Dortmund wins. So it's quite the week for me. It's an insane turnaround from the last episode. I swear to God, I feel like I'm bipolar at this point.
Well, I do want to first apologize. We did take a week off due to traveling and being out of town. I kind of needed a little bit of a mental break and reset. So apologies that we kind of went away for a week unannounced. And I did want to shout out back to referring to our other episode. Yeah, I mean, it's weird to let's take a break. And then we get our goal differential back up to where we were.
Right. We're negative one at the time.
And now we're back up. But I wanted to shout out Atchery1 is his Spotify username. I'm leaving a comment on our last episode and said, damn downer of an episode. I know some guys are bad, which was true. We started that episode saying we don't really want to record an episode right now. We don't want to do this. But are we back?
I didn't hear about that till now. I'm sorry about that. It's kind of needed though, I think a lot of us need to vent some frustration even after the Berlin game. And I don't want to get too far ahead. I know Ricken and Sebastian Kehl was saying these fans, the supporters around the world, whether it was in person, watching live, they needed to have some relief. And this was crucial for the mental health, I think, of the Dortmund fan base here to finally have a party for the first time in a long time this season.
Yeah, so of course we had the 6-0 win at home over Union Berlin. Then we go on the road away at St. Pauli, get a win there. So we're going to touch on those matches. Got some another women's update we got coming up because some exciting news on their front. We'll preview Lille. Yeah, that's who we're playing in the Champions League. We'll preview that match, and then I don't know, whatever happens. So hopefully not as depressing as an episode this time. It shouldn't be. It shouldn't be as depressing. All vibes, team. Dortmund's back, right? KOVAC cracked the code.
That's what this club is. It's all vibes.
We're winning the league. All right, let's start with Berlin. Unless you want to give a general overtake on these two matches, but you want to jump into Berlin with the lineup and everything?
Yeah, I mean, I think there is some general thoughts that you could have for just both of these. There was some similarities there, and there's still the old Dortmund at times too. But just wanted to emphasize, back-to-back wins in the Bundesliga, first time this season. 3 clean sheets in a row as well. I mean, yes, it was against an underperforming Union Berlin and St. Pauli, and then also the Sporting game as well, where we did not score that game. But either way, the fact that we were able to do that in such short succession compared to Şahin not being able to do that all season, not exclusively putting it on him by any means, but it's
you can put him on him.
It's a big milestone and a nice spirit lifter to get such great results here. In just a span of a few days.
All right, so let's jump into. I have the lineup in front of me, and it's on FOTMob, so where it shows the goals and everything, and it's just Girassi with the 4 soccer balls by his head, and then Gross with the 4 boots for the assists. Is just I like seeing it. It's just funny because I don't know last time I've seen anything like that. Definitely not with a Dortmund player, but on any run sheet that I'm looking at. But yeah, starting with the lineup, Kobel in goal, Rierson right back, Chan and Schlotterbeck are 2 center backs with Benzan Bayini back on the left. Sabitzer and Gross are 2 holding. Bayer on the right, Reina as the 10. Reina, I mean, that's one big thing that stands out. That's kind of what we're calling for. We wanted to see Reina come in. Adeyemi, other winger, and then Girassi up top. And I think I want to start with Reina off the bat because when I saw the team sheet and I saw Reina was starting, and then I looked a little further and I was like, oh, Brandt's not even on the bench. And I think I asked her in Discord, what's the injury here? Or he's definitely injured. He's definitely sick. There's a reason. It's not just form. Now there's a reason that he didn't get the start rather than a form thing. And I don't even remember what it was at that point. Now it's been a little bit ago, but
it looks like it was a muscle strain, and then just kind of recovering from that in the second game. And I know KOVAC briefly mentioned that exactly. I forget exactly where he said that, but I do remember that being a muscle strain. And Rierson was missing for that game and then came back. That was due to a flu. Real quick, shout out to the St. Louis fan group here. I was watching the game with Chaz at Amsterdam Tavern, and I can't remember. It was somewhere kind of towards the beginning of the first half, and he was like, I want to see Girassi actually get a hat trick because he got a few of those there at Stuttgart, and I was like, let's manifest it, man. Let's get it out here. And then to actually go and get 4 goals, it was quite the call there. So that was obviously a fun watch. Yeah, I mean, it was a pretty overwhelming performance. I was very pleasantly surprised by it. there were some frustrating moments towards the beginning and even towards the beginning of the second half as well, where, Berlin looked a little bit more in the game. But for the most part, Dortmund did step on the gas as the game went further on and put the game to bed here from all those goals from Guirassy, the 4 assists from Gross here. He slid from that 6 to the 8 to even to wide areas at times and just kept crossing, which, feed Guirassy the ball and he's going to put it in the net in those situations. I mean, he's been really showing his quality there. I think the XG was like 4.8 to 0.03. So we really kept Berlin at bay here for the most part. Very solid collective performance here. And I got a few reactions I just wanted to touch on as well. But yeah, any thoughts from you?
I think you said overwhelming. Like it's definitely overwhelming for Union Berlin, but I, as a fan too, like in kind, like just the contrast from what we've seen, I don't know, I would say maybe a slower start with KOVAC, or like waiting for that to click a little more. And now it feels like it finally clicked, but a complete contrast in what we saw the first half of the season with Şahin. And every time we scored again, and every time Guirassy scored, I was just like, what is happening? Like why it's not stopping? Like it's just kept going. And it was, as you said, like overwhelming. And I couldn't even like grasp why or what was happening. It was just complete control, complete domination. And yeah, we each opportunity we had, we put it away. So like, it was just very impressive to watch. Almost so impressive that I was like, this has to be a fluke. Like, can we do this again? And as you mentioned, like, Union Berlin team who's struggling a bit. I think it's Stefan Baumgart just come on, like newer coach who I think kind of
he's been bouncing around. I actually just wanted to say too, I mean, I don't know how many people are kind of just split between liking Baumgart or thinking he might just kind of been overrated for just his stints around Germany so far. But yeah, really, like what a fall from grace from that Köln side just in 2021, and then the short stint in Hamburg, and then also now Union Berlin. I mean, the thrashing before that, they lost to Gladbach. They also just lost at home to Holstein Kiel this weekend as well. So 3 defeats in a row, and they're slowly slipping further here into the table, just above St. Pauli, actually, kind of near their relegation zone.
Yeah, and with him coming in, I think he's definitely changed up their formation and how they play, which I think it was kind of the perfect storm for us. I think I think it's a team who's used to playing primarily a back 3 or 5 and kind of switching to this back 4 with, I mean, it stands out to me because Tom Rota, who we've been seeing more play as a wing back, now he's in just kind of an out and out left back position. I think there's a little uncertainty with that back line and I mean, the team in general. And so it was kind of a perfect storm for us to click into gear. They're a little lost anyways. And so for us to smash 6 past them and Guirassy getting 4 is just insane. But I say it all the time and it never seems to work. But I'm like, if this is the launch pad, if this can be the game that's the launch pad, then maybe we're on to better things. And maybe you can go back to the away match at Sporting. I know I was very disappointed with the home match against Sporting with the 0-0 draw. But we said it a couple weeks ago in our last episode that this is this period that we're in where we had a break from the Champions League. We had just had these 2 matches Saturday to Saturday. Like we had a nice week in between the matches against opponents that we definitely should be beating. Right. This can be like, there's going to be bigger challenges ahead, but this can do a lot for the confidence and the team in general, their camaraderie, and be able to build from this. Hopefully this is the time that we can actually build and progress and just look good moving forward, because we're running out of time.
Yeah, every point matters, every game matters, and the St. Pauli game is no different here. It was another big test. It was on the road against essentially a relegation candidate, and we have not done the job against 2 other ones this season so far, so that one made me a bit more nervous here. And before I jump into that, there's 1 or 2 of things I wanted to mention too for this Berlin game. One of them was the post-game comments from KOVAC when he was on Sky, and he just said, this game feels good. I'm happy all around. The boys have placed themselves into a frenzy. Things didn't go well those first 15 minutes, but when we increased the speed of the ball and won the ball and a lot in counter pressing, we scored beautiful goals. We conceded an own goal against Stuttgart, and now we were lucky to get the ball deflected in there. And then he mentioned the aggressiveness against the ball, those high ball wins, and just mentioning the class of the team and the pressure that he was actually wanting. And I think I noticed that too in this game here. If you look at, we had 5 tackles in the attacking third compared to Berlin's 2. I thought I had the time for us to actually get the ball back there, but I did just notice in general the pressing game looked a lot better here. So, we did score a lot of goals this game, but we also against the ball looked pretty solid as well. And just in terms of the high pressing and the counter pressing as well.
Yeah, that's something that stuck out to me. Like, I don't have much to add, but yeah, that was really good to see, and it kind of felt like I don't want to say we're back, but like it was so refreshing to like have that again, because I'm not saying we're back. I'm not saying we're winning the league. I was joking when I said it earlier, but it was just like that's a trait that we want to see, that we've seen from Dortmund teams in the past, and it's like, oh my gosh, thank
It's what
God.
this
Like,
club should represent. You know? Yeah.
and that's all. We're back, baby. Fucking
Yeah.
winning the league.
So we're winning the league. Meisterschalle. Easy. What, like it's hard? Yeah, I didn't have too much here. Chukwuemeka is a baller and is going to continue to help massively in midfield as he gets more fit, especially when we get players back like Mecha. I mean, I'm seeing some similar qualities there. I mean, just very silky on the ball. I'm not saying Mecha is necessarily that silky, but I think Chukwuemeka had a very solid game, and he should be in an argument for, you know, some positions in this game, whether it's in midfield at that 10. I know I've been wanting to see Reina, and I still want to see more of him too, but you know, with the opportunities he has been giving, I do want to see more from him. And even on the wings too, I mean, Chukwuemeka found himself out wide at times and was still pretty effective. So wanted to mention that too. Adeyemi finally finding some form in these last 2 games here. This is how the cycle continues. Now we just got to hope he can build on it and not get injured, so we fall into the same goddamn thing again. But anything else from you for this game?
No, Chukwuemeka was a good shout. He was. I thought he was going to be out longer with the injury or the little knock that he had, and so it was nice to see him on the bench. And then when he came on, like, I don't think Reina had too great of a game. I'm happy he still got an opportunity, and now he just got to keep fighting to try to. I mean, I don't know if he's going to hold on to that spot now, but Chukwuemeka coming in was. I thought he was so good. He looked really good, everything you hit on, but also like one thing that stands out to me is just his size. Like, he's such a big dude, and he's also like graceful with the ball. Like, and his passing is really nice. Like, I'm really excited to see more from him. I did see, I think it was from Berger just today on Twitter. KOVAC, obviously a big fan, and looking at the option for the buy. I know that was a little expensive of a purchase, so I don't know if that's something they'll actually do if they can bring that price down. Like, I know this is way too soon to be talking about this, I think. And given the loans that have been taken away from us in the past, I'm not going to get my hopes up too high. If he can help us in this stint right now, then great. And I would love to see him maybe start in the games coming up if he's fit, because he looked really good when he came on at the end of this Union Berlin game.
Yeah, Reina, those 2 games, he's been fine. Like, at Reina's worst, probably, he's just like consistently fine. You know, he didn't have a lot of inspiration, and he wasn't able to get himself directly involved in a lot of the attacks. But, you know, I know it's a low bar, but like compared to Brandt, there aren't these unnecessary giveaways. These aren't these super forced passes. The simple mistakes that we're seeing a lot from, you know, like just the mental checking out from Brandt, we've seen a lot this season. I mean, Reina is still a lock in all of those areas, but now we just need to see him actually produce a bit more, and we know he can. I mean, just dating back to one of his first few starts of the season in December where he scored, he's got plenty of moments of that in him. It's just, can he actually build on that and maybe get a more of a role here in the future?
You want to move on to St. Pauli?
Yeah.
Some of the specifics. So lineup, very similar, and it's kind of been, I mean, it's been pretty similar, which with each KOVAC lineup has been similar. Reina does get the start again in that 10 position. And then the only change was Couteau getting the start in the right back position. Everyone else is the same, though.
I think I switched there on. I misremembered that. I thought Rierson was playing the first game, or excuse me, this second game and not the first one, and I switched those around.
So, yeah, Couteau on the right, Chan, Schlotterbeck, Benzabaini, Kobel in goal, obviously. Then we had Gross and Sabitzer again. Reina, Bayer, Adeyemi, and Girassi up top. A quick note on, quick take on what you've thought of Bayer. And he's obviously been in for Gittens, hasn't been getting the start lately, he was arguably our like player of the year the first half of the season. Now he's fallen off a bit, which I don't think is a terrible thing. Like, I always hit on the competition. Like, we need people to push each other. I'm glad that Bayer's getting more minutes. But your thoughts on like Bayer playing this winger position, which we have seen quite a bit this year anyways, but over Gittens, who haven't seen much from him. But I think there's definitely opportunity for him to get back into the side. It's probably good that he has to fight to get back in the side. But any thoughts on Bayer specifically in these last 2 matches?
Yeah, it's his effort all around. I wanted to say it was mostly against the ball, but really with the ball as well. You're just seeing a bit more effort from him. I think you're also seeing him be a bit more direct as well. I mean, as flashy and mesmerizing that JG can be. A lot of times too, he can kind of halt progression of the ball at times and, stall us a bit. But I think Bayer is, as of late, not saying all the time, every game, but as of late has been a bit more direct and just helpful of actually progressing up the field a bit more. So, and another pretty solid performance in him in this one as well. Yeah.
I was also I want to talk on Gross, a little bit, just as far as like these last two performances. Obviously, he gets the 4 assists in the Berlin game. This one, I think, another solid performance, which we saw early in the season. Like Gross was, I know, especially in some of the preseason matches, like I was really excited about Gross. I liked what I saw from him early on. And then I think we see form start to dip a little bit. I think part of that is the amount of minutes he was playing when he wasn't in the midfield, when we needed to fill in on the right back. He was playing that right back role and just playing time and time again when he probably needed a little more rest. And now that I think Svensson has been kind of key in part of this. And then just because that gives us the depth in the fullback positions, and Gross has just been more solid in that midfield. And I think it's kind of like unlocked him a bit more, or not unlocked him, but to get back to his best.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which has been so good to see. It's just like we've been stabilized a little bit, and Gross is kind of back to his best, which is better for Dortmund.
And I think he's had a bit more freedom at times to be himself as of late. When you look at the likes of Benzabaini, who's been slipping into midfield, I could be wrong, but I wanted to say that kind of started around in the Heidenheim game, whenever we were under the U19 coach. God, why am I so bad today? Now I'm forgetting his name. Jesus Christ. We'll keep this in to show how great of a host I am of the show. Yeah, but either way, I mean, yeah, Gross has been pretty solid these last 2 games for sure. I did want to say though, like collectively, again, this is what KOVAC had like the exact same thoughts that I had post game, thinking about this first half, which is just like it's exactly what we were expecting. I mean, away at a club that's kind of in the relegation level, and they come out really aggressive. They come and play direct. They get 5 corners in the first 10 minutes. They're putting us on our back heels, making it difficult for us to build up from the back or even progress the ball. But those 20, 30 minutes, so you start to weather the storm a bit more, and we did press on the gas a bit more. And I saw that against Berlin too, and I like to see that here as well. This player is not really rolling over or just kind of giving up and not having any ideas of how to break that sort of team down. But the second half, there were some adjustments there. We switched the shape a bit more. We positioned a bit higher up the field. We had more crosses. Adeyemi's brilliant solo goal as well. Kind of, if you look at the average position, he was actually the highest up the field. I know Girassi drops down a bit more, but he was really high up there. And finally getting himself in behind, which I think is, pretty much where he's arguably most effective. And it resulted in us getting the first back-to-back win in the Bundesliga this season.
That's crazy. It's crazy that it's the first back-to-back. That's why we've been so depressed. That's why the last episode sucked, because we're just, what do you expect?
Just back and forth.
Our emotions can't handle this.
Yeah.
We can't talk about this week in, week out and be sane. But I mean, I'll just touch a little bit on, as you mentioned, like putting on the gas like we did against Union Berlin. But I think the timing of the goals was really important too. In a first half where a bit of just extra fight we had to do or fight through to kind of get through that first half, and then to make the changes that we did at the half, get rewarded pretty quickly, but then go ahead and get a second goal just 8 minutes after the first goal. It's something like we haven't always seen. Like we've seen this team switch off so right. often. And so to be able to just continue and get that second goal and kind of put it to bed. I know 2-0 is a very dangerous scoreline, but
I was going to say, and right after that, we did kind of,
yes, but way better than if we were to just score 1 goal and then fade away. So yeah, it's just, these last 2 matches, definitely not as depressing, a little more refreshing. And I don't know. I'm feeling good now, but who knows how I'm going to be feeling next time we record.
Right. Who's to say? Who is to say? Yeah. And then, he had some good reinforcements at his disposal too, as the game went on. KOVAC, like you mentioned, Svensson and Chukwuemeka also got a short stint in this game. Gittens got a few minutes, Brandt as well, Ozcan. A lot of players are coming back. We still haven't seen the likes of Sula or Anton in a while, but Chan has, again, ironically, somehow become a lock in that position. I am also favoring him over the other 2 options at the moment too. So, you're hoping this team is finally starting to have some stability about them, but it's every episode. I'm thinking about myself to just the very last episode and me being like, what is this team? I'm not going to keep investing myself. And the next time we're like, hey, 8 goals scored, no conceded. Maybe we're, it really depends on how these next few weeks go. And because it's not a matter of, I have to keep reemphasizing this, we have to get every point possible to get us higher up the table. Leipzig continue to drop points. Thankfully, we're only 3 points behind them now, but still 6 to make up to get to Mainz in fourth.
Yeah, that's the humbling thing too, right? Like not trying to not get too excited. Yeah, we scored 6. We scored 8-0 these last 2 matches against our opponents. We're still in 10th. As you mentioned, we're only 3 points behind Leipzig, who sit in 6th. It's another 5 points behind Freiburg in 5th, and then Mainz. What is going on with Mainz? I have not looked at the table recently. I said this 2 weeks ago. That's the last time I probably looked at the table. Again, it's depressing. Mainz in 4th on 41 points. It's not a terribly huge gap. Like, I think 41 points for 4th is pretty low points.
And we play them here at the end of March too. I mean, there's a handful of oppositions. Yeah, I don't either. Well, at least we play them at home this time. And there's a few other oppositions that we can actually get points back. We also play Leipzig here in a few weeks as well. We play Freiburg, we play Bayern, Wolfsburg, Leverkusen. So all these teams are above us on the table, and an opportunity for us to get a little bit higher here and there and pull a miracle out of our ass and maybe get a European spot. Whether that's Champions League or not, I have no...
Yeah, I mean, the points are definitely there. I think we can try to fight back. That's the thing, though. Like, who just actually knows with this team? Because I want to ride this. I want to keep doing this, but I don't know what's going to happen next week.
Fun.
Could be bad. As next Saturday we are home to Augsburg. As we mentioned, Lille is coming up. Well, you could be listening to this before the Lille match, hopefully. If you're not listening to it as we're recording on Monday nights, we play Lille on Tuesday afternoon. Before we talk about those matches, though, you want to shift into BVB Frauen, who just had an exciting friendly match.
Yeah, against Union Berlin 2. It's their U23 team. This was a friendly, so this was not in their division, the Verbandsliga. But either way, they conceded early, 1-0, and then they conceded 2 more after that. So they were in a 3-0 deficit against Berlin and then pulled back a draw. So that, I mean, against a side that's higher than them in their division, I know they conceded 3 goals, but the fact that they're actually able to pull that back here. The recap of that game is on Dortmund's website, and I posted the link in our Discord here, and that page will automatically translate to English, so you can get a bit more of the details there. I just didn't want to read the page to you. But either way, I mean, it's cool to get some more details on the game here, but I wanted to touch on like them actually back in the competitive scene in the Verbandsliga. Still first in the division with 43 points, 1 point above the Smurfs, Schalke, who are in second, 42 points. Schalke play the team that is in third here in April, so one of those teams will be dropping points if we just keep doing our job. And then for the top scorers for the Dortmund side alone here, you have Marie Grota with 11 goals as top scorer, and then, pardon my pronunciation here, Sarah Giebels, if I'm saying that, and then Finja Schreik tied in second with 9 goals here in the women's team. So the goals, we've been saying since the club was formed, the goals are really shared amongst this team. I mean, they're super, super successful. Every division they've been playing in, they've been knocking out of the park and scoring video game-like scores. But at the same time, it's not just 1 or 2, women carrying this team. It's actually a big collective thing. And, a lot of players playing a bunch of different positions too. So it's cool to see that, that DNA is still like the same several years later, and they're still finding the same level of success as well. And then you have the next game in the Verbandsliga for them on Sunday, March 9th at 5 p.m. local time. I wasn't even going to attempt the pronunciation for the team that they're playing, just to save myself some face there. But yeah, feel free to check out that schedule. And again, the link in the Discord for more details for the schedule on that game.
I do want to touch on like the team build out, I guess, on that. Because as you mentioned, like the goals are shared. I think as you're starting a club, and they're a few years in now, and we've been kind of following them since. I think it could be easy to where you get one player who just kind of runs things and is just running up the score on their own and kind of running through the entire league. But it is awesome that it's like they've done a really good job, I think, is building like a full team, like building a full team out and not just 1 or 2 individual standout players. I cannot talk to save my life. And it's cool. Like we've said it so many times, it's cool to see them just climbing the ranks. It's cool to see the competition get a little tougher, and now they're in this league, as you said, playing Schalke, like teams that are recognizable to maybe just fans of the Dortmund men's team. And we're not playing Schalke right now, so if we can watch the women play those women, it's just really cool to see those teams still be able to clash in this.
Those guys can be gender neutral. I would argue that at least.
It is one of my crutches. I say those guys a lot, and I'm trying to be better about it. But yeah, it's cool to see, again, the competition get better and then just continue to climb the ranks as they go year after year. And yeah, if you want to get a little more involved, get a little more connected with the BVB Frauen, the women's team, yeah, find the link to join our Discord for a little more information there, or you can find that in the description of this episode.
Say we do play Schalke one more time at the end of the season too. The women's team, that's going to be on April 27th. I think that'll be like the third to last game of the season as well. So I mean, that'll be if that isn't already a title decider already, it'll most likely be there if these two teams keep going at the pace that they're going.
Yeah. All right. You want to get into a little bit of Lille?
Yeah, a little bit of Lille. I don't have too much here. It's just, I mean, it's not going to be an easy game by any means, but it is a home game in a competition where we are historically known for performing very well at against a favorable opposition. KOVAC here just mentioned here in the presser, was it today or yesterday? He was saying French football and Lille are very good. They're very technical. Their coach is a coach that plays attacking football, possession football, and a very variable football that will demand a lot of concentration, strength, and stability from us. And then he also just mentioned it's also up to us for how hard we work at the opponent, whether we win the game or have difficulties. So I'm glad, he's putting a little bit more responsibility, and pressure on the players to continue building on the form that they have been for the last two games, because we need to build some, not only stability, but just consistency too in our form if we want to go further in either of these competitions. And this is a real decent pathway here to actually make some waves in the Champions League again somehow, despite the domestic form and results that we've been getting all year.
Yeah, and I mean, they're professionals, and I hope they would not mentally switch off because of this. But I think as fans, like, we get the little draw, and there's a little bit of relief, right? We're like, oh my gosh, sweet, like Lille, like we should be able to. It's not one of the big name, big opponents in the Champions League. I feel like we got a decent draw here. I hope the players don't think that too. And I think with Kovac's comments just saying, yeah, the French league it's a good league. Lille's a good team. They are fifth in Liga right now.
They recently lost to PSG.
Yeah, just lost to PSG, but still a good team, and we can't take them for granted. And I certainly hope that guys don't do that, and I hope they just come in and perform at home. Like I wish it was an away leg at first, just because I feel like that can fire you up a little more. Too. And I don't like having to go away, and then like if we win this one, I don't like having to go away and then battling it at home. Like that just scares me. So hopefully we can just take care of business and put quite a few past them and our old friend Thomas Meunier.
I was just about to say, yeah, in terms of personnel, well, real quick, I forgot to mention that Rierson is back. Kovac mentioned in that same presser that he is over his illness now, so he will be available here. Most players in the Dortmund squad will be available. And then, yeah, there will be a few other homecomings, I guess, if you wanted to call it that, for lack of a better term. Meunier is going to be coming to the Westfalen. Girassi also is a former Lille player, as well as Benzabaini. And then, not a former Lille player, but Adeyemi has also played against Lille here a few years ago, and he mentioned that in the presser as well. So, there's a lot of familiarity for some of these players. The clubs themselves, maybe not so much, but just in terms of the personnel, there's definitely some overlap. And I'm interested to see how these players perform. Hopefully it all falls in favor for Dortmund. And I'm predicting that with a 2-0 win. No goals conceded again. We're going 4 clean sheets in a row.
Who scored? I like 2-0 also, but I don't. But I feel like I'm just kind of taking the easy route and saying exactly what you said. Who scores? Girassi again.
I think it's going to be Girassi.
So hot.
I think it's going to be Girassi. And then, oh man, who knows? Who knows is going to pull? I want to say Adeyemi is going to continue building on this form. That solo goal he had at the weekend was incredible, and I want to see more of that. And he's certainly got that at his disposal once his decision making continues to be fine tuned. So I'm going to maybe say Adeyemi, or I'm really like to see Brandt score again too. It's been way too long.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see, I guess, who starts in that attacking mid position. If Brandt comes back, if it's Reina again, maybe Chukwuemeka. Don't hate that shout. I said it earlier. It could be nice. So yeah, really interesting. And I'm excited to see, honestly, if it's Chukwuemeka, like that'd make me really happy. Just because why not? I want to see a little more of him. So yeah, Lille, 3 p.m. Eastern, Tuesday, as you're probably listening to this. And then coming up on the weekend, we don't have to go real in depth, but another important match against, it is home. So a little less travel. And again, means we definitely need to get the result. But Augsburg on the weekend, this coming Saturday. And I say important, they beat us earlier in the season. They beat us back in October. So that gives me some hesitation. I want to say because these last few matches we're a different team, but I really don't know. And I hope that we can actually get the result here because we need it. But Augsburg has been a little tricky for us as
and
of
speaking
a few
of
months
clean
ago.
sheets, if you look at their goals conceded, just in the table alone, it's 35 goals, which is less than us. And they also have pretty much the same for goals conceded, if not better, than a handful of teams that are above them in the table, from likes of Freiburg, Wolfsburg, Gladbach, all pretty much there. And then if you look at their recent games, they conceded 0 goals against Freiburg, Gladbach, Leipzig, Mainz. That's 4 games in a row that they did not concede a game or a single goal. And then before that even was against St. Pauli, where they only conceded 1. So this is going to be a team that's obviously going to be pretty difficult to break down here. But I mean, I think we've seen over the past few weeks, we've seen what has actually been working and what has been clicking for some of these players, which is the pressing game's gotten a little bit better. The transitions are getting a bit better. And we're finding Guirassy a bit easier too from those crosses of Gross. And, you know, the attacking front three is looking different and starting to evolve a bit as well, with the changes made from Gittens to Adeyemi being on the right with the inverted winger here. Bayer as well, same thing on the left. You know, hopefully we can start to build on that a bit more and get a result here.
So yeah, Augsburg this weekend, Lille on Tuesday/today. Apologize for just saying that so many times. But before we wrap up, Carver, one more thing I want to hit on. Dortmund dropped a new kit, their new special jersey for the year. What are your thoughts?
I got to get it. I've been looking at the 90s kit for a very long time, and I haven't pulled the trigger because of the price. And this one is also not going to be cheap by any means, but it will be maybe a little bit easier to get. And I like to treat myself every once in a while. The last kit I got was the all black one for the Cole thing that they did. What was it, 2 years ago? So I'm looking to get it for sure. I think the question should be, and I'm curious to what other people are going to do: short sleeve or long sleeve.
The long sleeve looks. I mean, I love
They both.
There's
look
an option
sick.
for a long sleeve. That looks cool.
I know. I don't think I have a long sleeve kit yet. And this would be a great opportunity to do it. But also the cutoff here, the short sleeve, looks incredible as well.
Yeah,
I
like with the lines coming down. I like the look of this short sleeve. I just like anything that's a long sleeve. So I'm like, it's so cool. And the kit, if you haven't seen the kit, it's like that neon yellow that we've seen, the highlighter yellow kind of that we've seen before
in the 90s.
When this kit was like teased and dropped, I only had some slight hesitations because although I have some gear that is like the neon color, like one of my hoodies and one of my sweaters has that neon, but I don't have like, when I think back, I'm like, I don't always love the neon kit, but I think what's triggering that is the last neon kit. The one that I remember, at least, it was the Puma dropped these jerseys that were all the same, AC Milan, all the Champions League, AC Milan. They looked like T-shirts, and they just like said the club straight across it with the line, and they were horrible. And it was less about me not liking the Dortmund one, but me not liking any of those, and that they were all identical and exactly the same. And I think that put a bad taste in my mouth of just the neon kit, highlighter kit in general. But as soon as this one came out and I saw the full picture and everything, I was like, oh, that's so good.
Miles better. Yeah, I put that other highlighter kit far out of my memory. That design was diabolical. Jesus Christ. Yeah, Puma should be ashamed of themselves for that. Whoever was in charge of that.
Give it to everybody, like Man City, AC Milan, everyone who wore Puma, like, were in this real shit kit. It was so bad. So bad. This one's good though. Well, I did see.
Also, what a forgettable Champions League campaign that was too. That was whenever we got our shit rocked by Ajax, Emre Can at left back, fucking Anthony looking like Neymar. I guess we did get the iconic Royce goal that season, but anyway.
Yeah, we can forget everything else. I mean, you got anything else? Kit, BVB women's team, 2 wins.
That's it.
Not depressed yet. Not depressed right now.
Yeah, right now.
See what happens. No, we do appreciate you guys hanging out and listening as always. If you have any feedback, if you want to say it was a depressing episode, if it was a better episode, if you want to make fun of our pronunciations, we'll take it.
That's always a good time.
Preferably like the negativity, you can just send us an email. If you have nice things to say, you can leave the comments and nice reviews and all that stuff. No, we do appreciate you guys hanging out as always. I will apologize. In the last episode, I also said, like, I know I hit like our website, like go check out the bvbpodcast.com, and then immediately had to take our website down. I just need to update the domain and that stuff. So hopefully that'll be up and running again soon. But if you want to link to anything, our socials, our Discord, you can find that all in the description of this episode. And yeah, join our Discord if you're not part of that already. It's a fun time to just chat with us and fellow Dortmund fans throughout the match week and the match day. And yeah, just connect with us a little more. So appreciate if you join us there, and we will talk with you guys later.